Like, it doesn't even matter. I'm gonna edit it. It's like, hold your breath. We're about to record. Do you wanna be on this side or this side? We can decide. Where do you wanna be?
Oh,
Where do you wanna
ooh.
be? I feel
I
like
don't
I feel like
it's
this
up
side.
okay, alright.
I feel like we're here. Okay.
Alright.
How are you doing, Laura Green?
I'm doing well. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there. This isn't really you're not no, this is about you. Let's focus all
No, I
questions
want
towards you. I feel
No,
like
I
if I
wanna know how you're hanging in there. Like,
no,
how
no,
is
if
your body holding
I
up?
feel like if we ever get in the if we get in the moment of like you starting to ask me questions, I'll lose control of this whole thing. And I've seen your IG skits, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of this. So let me just guide the questions at you. So you're getting Laura Green, you are getting ready for a marathon in like 2 weeks. Well, 13 days. Let's not even say 2 weeks anymore. It's 13 days.
The
How's the
countdown
body
is
holding
on.
up?
I am so happy with how my body is holding up. I genuinely went from 0 miles, like, 9 weeks ago to marathon training. So, like, that's a very silly thing to do, very
Silly.
precarious. Like, you don't want to be entering any type of training plan like that.
Mhm.
But I was presented the bib. I had to take it. And so I made do with what I had. And I've been doing every other day is on the bike.
Yep.
So I'm
Oh, that's
already
good.
a low mileage runner, and I've like truly made this a low mileage
That's
training plan.
that's really
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah. And but like the long runs I've gotten in, I've gotten up to 18 miles, which is like more than enough. I thought
Mhm.
maybe I'd get up to like 15, but I got to 18 a couple times. And yeah, I did 11 this morning and I did, I think, like 8 at threshold. So I was like, okay, I got this. Like, I can do this.
Okay. All right.
I'll finish. But now it's kind of that classic thing where like first your only goal is to finish. Then you're like, well, maybe
Yeah.
I can run a little faster. And
Yeah.
that's when it gets a little dangerous. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, like, I think that's, like, the classic marathon training thing, like, even if you're fit and you're, like, you know what you're doing, there's gonna be moments and they're like, "Well, maybe I could just," you know, and that's
Maybe I can win.
that was the funniest. You know what? I'm fitter than I ever thought I'd be. Maybe. You know, you never know. It could be a blizzard, and I could be the only dumbass to finish the race,
Totally.
you
You
know?
never know.
Weather can level the field, you know, it makes elites decide that they don't think it's worth it, and then idiots like us just keep on pushing, you know?
Totally. I mean, you look at Sarah Sellers, and
Mhm.
she's an elite athlete, but I mean, she came in second of that Boston Marathon, and
Yeah,
who's the next
yeah.
Sarah Sellers, you know?
It's
Could be
probably gonna be
me.
you. It's probably gonna be you. And I feel like in 13 days, we will see. So, if you're listening or watching this, make sure you, track Laura because, you know, like, it's not so you know how, like, a lot of people wake up early, you know, to watch marathons for hours and
Mhm.
hours, like Berlin Marathon. So I got up at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Berlin, which is it's the dumbest I mean, it's not the dumbest thing that I've ever done because 'cause I've done some pretty
Yeah.
odd things, you know? But I feel like, you know, I needed to watch it and, like, I wanted to see it in person. I didn't wanna open up Instagram later and say, like, you know, Kipchoge ran under 2 hours and then, you know, Kira D'Amato, like, went under her, you know, broke her time and all that. So I got up early. But imagine, like, you know, seeing you on there, like, just plugging away, and all of a sudden, you just get closer and closer to Kira D'Amato, you know what I mean? It'd be strange. It'd
Yeah,
be
I mean,
strange.
no need to track me, just watch that live feed, you know?
Yeah, actually, you're right. No need to track her. She's going to be on camera for the most part of the most part of the race. But yeah, so like tell me a little bit about like let's just kind of jump backwards. Tell me a little bit about like your history with running. I know you ran in high school, but when
Mhm.
did you start running and when did it become like a part of your life?
Yeah. If I mean, now at the age of 36, it feels like it's always been there. But I started in middle school and I've always been like a soccer player, basketball player. And I started cross country because my older brother was into it, my older
Mhm.
sister. And so I'm the middle child of five. And we all just got into running. And I think it's just because we were pretty good at it and you kind of
Yeah.
gravitate towards the things that you're good at. Um, So yeah, we ran in high school, through high school, had an amazing high school experience with cross country and outdoor track. I actually never ran indoor track until college, which I'm very grateful for because indoor track in high school just seems terrible. Like they're doing
And
laps in the parking lot. Like if you're from a Northeast school with snow, like they like plow out like a quarter mile in the parking lot. Oh, it just seems
what?
awful.
It seems kind of cool, but at the same time terrible, you know?
Terrible. So
Yeah.
I'm happy I played basketball through high school in my warm gym. And yeah, then I went to Northeastern University in Boston and I ran there. I was a middle distance runner.
Right.
So 800, 1,000 was pretty much all I did, and cross country.
Yeah.
And when I graduated from college, I was like pretty burnt out, done running for teams, definitely. Definitely not fast enough to be a pro. And so I kind of just like settled into like that run for fitness
Right.
world. Yeah. And I've done like a few marathons. I've done a bunch of half marathons. I will never say that's my distance. It is a grind for me. And sure, as you get older, you get a little bit better with the longer stuff, but
Yeah.
man, I don't know. Like it's just so long. You're out there for so long.
Yeah. 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 I mean, but you like definitely have like the structure of like, you have the memory of like going through a structure and a training block. So like this last like 8 weeks or 6 weeks so far for you. I mean, it's a stretch to like just say like, hey, I want to go run a marathon, but you're very used to like the process and how the body feels and reacts and stuff. So that's kind of cool. So I mean,
Yeah.
I have more confidence now
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can win this race.
That I can win.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like I have such a strong base. Now, not physically, but almost like mentally. Like
Yeah.
physically coming into this summer was probably, I was about a year postpartum with my second kid. So like completely different body,
Yeah.
different state of mind in terms of like what my goals were. As in I had no goals. And I was just like running for the social component of
Yeah.
it and for like mental health.
Yeah.
So, and then I got injured over the summer. And so instead of like in my past years, I'd be like, okay, I need to go to Cairo, I need to go
Mhm.
PT, I need to do all my exercises. But just in the season of life that I'm in, I was like, I'll just stop running for a few
Yeah.
months because I'm busy and I don't really care. So that's why I rolled into this with 0 miles and like
Mhm.
a very little strength. But I think that it's built into your body, right? Like
Yeah.
my body
Yeah.
knows exactly what to do. And so I felt like I was safe enough postpartum, as in like I'm not like 3 months postpartum. I was a good year and a half out, and I was like, okay, let's build this. And I know exactly what my body needs at this point. If
Yeah.
it's not feeling a run, I am fully confident with stopping it for the day. I don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to grind through it.
Yeah.
If I feel like I need to move my long run from Monday to Wednesday, I'm fine with it. I don't stress over any of that stuff. And I
Yeah.
also have a friend, Amanda Nurse, who is an incredibly talented runner and also a coach. And she wrote out a training plan for me so that I didn't have to like put too much thought into it,
Okay, that's good.
and second guess myself, which is, something that we do
Yeah. Yeah.
as runners. So I've just been
So
really lucky just to I just roll along with the training plan and I
yeah.
adjust accordingly. And luckily it's gone great. So
But I mean, I think it's really cool though that it's kind of it reminds me a lot of like the Kira D'Amato story, where the first part of her journey was, all about like splits and numbers and pace and like, PTs and Cairo and all these things that like, a lot of runners put a lot of pressure on and feel like we need to do these things. And there's nothing wrong with doing all that. But at the same time, it's like after postpartum, it's like, hey, that's not a priority. It's a priority like in the mental health aspect and like the social side of things. So like what have you learned about like running so far in this part of your journey as opposed, that you maybe didn't know or wish you knew earlier?
yeah. Well, yeah, it actually is a really similar story, and I cannot wait until I get my American record so I can talk to her about this. But
Like,
no,
we have another one. Same exact story.
But no, no, just going from like hopping off of the track and where everything was about,
Yeah.
splits and spikes and all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
refinding the joy in running. It's also very different coming home, and I'm sure you can relate to this. You come home from a long run, and I don't get to like lay down and put my feet up a wall and
Yeah.
like I I'm chugging protein drinks in the shower and then getting on a bike and bringing my two kids to daycare. And like, it's like, you walk into a circus. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm walking into a spa where I can get my post-run massage.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like that's when your day begins. You just
Yeah.
ran 18 miles, but now we're running and we're
Yeah.
we're taking clothes off.
Now,
and
yeah.
changing
Now it's
diapers.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the miles way more than I used to. It
Mhm.
used to be more of like a to-do list. Now
Yeah.
it's like, yes, I get to get out there. I get like an hour to myself. I get
Yeah.
to listen to my podcasts and music. And it's just a lot more joyful, and it's a lot more, and it's social, because before I was on a team and that was a huge social aspect for me.
Mhm.
But now it's like, okay, I get to meet up with my other friends who like also have limited time and tight schedules and we're busy lives. And
Yeah.
so every time we get out there is just awesome. Yeah.
That is really, I mean, it is funny though, because like as a parent, it's like when I first started running and like doing my first like training blocks, like I would run 16 miles, and I'm fairly new to running, so I started like running like 4 years ago.
Okay.
So like a 16-mile long run, I was like super accomplished, but I was dead. Like I'd come home and it'd be like, I can't do anything right now.
So
Everyone
hard.
in the house needs to stop and be happy for me and let me let me do my thing. But that's just not how it works. And so I'm luckily now, like as you get more, further into running, those days don't like completely take you out. But it's funny that like I'll be in the grocery store or at like a kid's event or something like that. I'll look around like no one else here just did 20 miles, and look at me. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of myself. Like I did 20 miles this morning, not this morning.
Totally.
I did not.
I just feel like you get another level of strength
Yeah.
because it's also time on feet. And I'm a big fan of that just in terms of all training. It's not
Mhm.
like I almost think that my mileage is completely irrelevant. It's more about time that I'm out there. So like especially for runners who are not elite and they're a
Mhm.
little bit slower, like I don't even believe that you need to get in your 16, 18, 20 miler. I think you need to get in 2 hours on your feet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure the running coaches are going to come for me and
No, I
wave
think
their finger, but and then I think like when I get home from my run, if it didn't go so well or if it was whatever, that's all good. I'm about to spend 2 hours running around at the playground.
Yeah.
Like, like in my like UFOs,
Yeah, exactly.
my Crocs. Like I'm just like, it's nonstop. And I do think that adds another component to like parent strength when they're
Yeah.
out there on the race
I
course,
like that. I
because
like that.
yeah, I mean, it's all included, you know?
Yeah. I like parent strength. So on at mile
Yeah.
20, 23, 24, I'll be like trying to summons like my parent strength and get this thing done.
Totally.
So like
Uh,
so I heard a funny thing, and I like when I listened to it, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud. So I was gonna ask you a question, but I'll tell you that I was born in Poughkeepsie, Michigan, in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At Vassar? At
Oh, I
that
mean, that's like the
hospital?
only hospital, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be the only hospital. I don't know.
Yeah,
How funny.
yeah,
Wait,
of
when's
all
your birthday? You're
August
like,
22nd,
I think you're
84.
2 years older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, August 22nd, 84. So I had been in there, been there, done that by the time you came around.
You're running laps around me.
Yeah, I was already running laps around the hospital by the time you
Oh,
came around.
that's
But yeah,
so
like,
fun.
yeah, it's like I've only met two, like one other person probably that was born in Poughkeepsie, Michigan. I keep saying Michigan, New
Yeah.
York.
New
But
York.
yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy. It's the weirdest
I
little
love
fact.
that tidbit. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a really
there
fun
we
one.
go. There we go. So I kind of want to know a little bit too. Like, so as you've come back, into running, when did like the skits come into play? Because like everyone knows you now for uh potentially the funniest skits on
Oh, that's
Instagram.
really nice.
I mean, I've seen some funny skits, but like you're kind of like you're in a groove right now that is getting pretty good. So when did the skits come around, and like how did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, so I'm a physical therapist,
Mhm.
so it doesn't really make sense. But I had my second kid, like I said, in April of 21. And when I was heading back to work in the fall last year, I was like, like really losing steam with physical therapy. And for many years, I was a big part of November Project, which is a free workout group around the world. And one of my job with them part time was like very creative. And so I missed that part of my
Mhm.
brain being used. I was no longer with November Project. I was only at the hospital, which I really loved doing, but I didn't want to be there full time. And so I started this video production company, and I was doing legacy videos where like I sit down and interview people all about their life, and it's usually for people in their like 50s, 60s, 70s.
Oh, cool, cool.
And then that is captured for, generations to come. And so I really loved doing that, but there was still something missing that I like couldn't put my finger on. And then my friend Sasha last spring was like, you just need to get in front of the camera. And I was like, nope. Nope.
No way.
That I like being behind the camera. This has been really nice. And she's like, nope, you got to get in front and you got to just do comedy because nobody in Run is funny. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there are a couple funny people. She's like, okay, the industry as a whole is just
Yeah.
not funny.
Yeah.
And people take themselves very seriously. And I was like, this is true. So that's when I made the first three. And I made three and I put them out, I think like a week apart. And I was like kind of done. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That's it. Cool. Good
That was
job.
good. But then I just kept coming up with more ideas. And I was like, well, this is fun. And then it just started taking off. And
What were the first 3? Do you remember what they were about?
yeah, the first one was about a road runner, like someone like me trying to
Mhm.
go for a trail run, because that was like very much a big part of my life when I lived in San Francisco for years,
Yeah.
and I was always the fish out of water. And then the second one was making fun of trail running in general, of like the super secretive, exclusive races that they have.
Yeah.
And then the third one was the stroller one. And the stroller one just like took off like wildfire, which was very surprising to
Yeah.
me. And so then I was like, okay, maybe there is a need here.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the Run world is so small, it's so niche. Like, I'm gonna run out of material, but I just haven't run out of material yet. So I guess I'll
No.
just keep it rolling. Yeah.
And I
So
feel like
that
it's
was
getting, like,
interesting.
better too, like, it's not like you're just not running out of material, it's, like, getting really I mean, it's getting
Well, I'm
pretty
getting
good.
more aggressive. I think that
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that skit to come out where everyone's like, ah, you crossed the line. Nope.
Not
Nope, nope,
not
nope.
it, not it.
I mean, I do. I make fun of brands a lot, and I most recently made fun of podcasters, and so I think those are a little risky because I could potentially be burning bridges with those brands.
Well well, I mean, I watched the podcast or well, you burned the bridge with me and 'cause by not having me on it, but, you're still on the show, so the bridge is not really, that,
Yeah, is that
yeah.
yeah, it's still standing. It's still
Yeah, and
standing.
I gotta say, like, the things but some of the things that you point out about brands or people, or podcasters, um, it's not like anything it's just the funny thing that's, like, super obvious that, like, that everyone sees, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
do a really good job at that.
Thank you. I mean, I want to keep it fun. I don't
Yeah,
want it to be mean humor.
yeah, yeah,
Even though like there are always jokes that are on there that get scratched. I
yeah.
like cut them out
Like,
because
I
I'm like,
don't know.
the podcast one actually did make me nervous because it was the first time where I called out individuals.
Mhm.
And I understand it's like a sensitive thing for people on people on the internet are mean
Yeah,
generally. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like not looking to add to that.
yeah.
But everyone took it really well. I think it was all in good fun. So we'll say what the next one holds.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then that's gotta be pretty validating too, like, when you do something like that and kind of not validating, but, like, reassuring that you're not an evil person when, like, when the people or companies that you talk about share it, because it's like, and I think that that just speaks to, like, how good you are at this type of humor where it's just kinda like having fun highlighting because you are highlighting that person too. Because if let's just say no one knows someone didn't know who Rich Roll is, which is kinda hard to believe, but,
Yeah, yeah. That
let's just say
happens.
they didn't know, they'd be like, "Well, what do you mean? Why is he like this? Let's go check out a podcast," and then, you know, within a couple shows, they find out, oh, she's pretty close to spot on now, you know?
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
fact
it's
that they share is
true.
really cool.
Yeah, everyone commented, which like I was kind of like waiting for each person to either
Like,
message me or
yeah,
comment. So like
yeah.
once that's done, and then I made a joke about this the other day, but I have
Was
had a
it
lot
true?
of pros. Like I like tag pros if I mention them, and I
Mhm.
always like sit and like wait because I'm just as big of a run nerd as everyone else out here. So
Yeah,
like if like Emma Bates comments on my Instagram, I'm stoked. Like
yeah,
come
yeah,
on, and so once that happens, then I'm like, okay, cool. I can be like done for the day, and
yeah.
I don't follow like any of the algorithm rules. Like I rarely comment on comments, like
Mhm.
because I kind of just put my phone away, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
I don't I think it's healthier for me to not focus on numbers or
yeah.
stats. So I just don't at all.
Well, just for like, we can if we could go down that road for a little bit, like as
Yeah.
a content creator myself, and then for other people that just are on Instagram and trying to balance like the life of living in this world that we are, like of of likes and follows and all that stuff. Like, what's your advice for that side of things? Like, how does someone like you that is your lifestyle right now is very not dependent on the
Mhm.
success of the algorithm, but how do you work through that and still strive
Yeah.
to like do better, like without
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like you don't care, but
No, it's not that I don't care. Um, Okay, so I started posting these in August. It's only October. So I'm
really,
like brand new to
wow.
this whole scene. And I just feel really lucky that I like from the very get-go was like, okay, this is a job and this is not my life. And so I've first off, kind of like I used to post a lot about my personal life. I'm done with that.
Hmm.
And it's not that I don't want people to get to know me, but I just want this to be more of like a fun chapter, not like my whole life.
Hmm.
So like my kids are no longer on my Instagram. It's just part of
Hmm.
it. And so I'm like, okay. And if I do that, that has helped me also put my phone down when I'm not filming skits. Because if
Hmm.
I'm not trying to put content out about my own life, then I
True.
don't need my phone out. And so um, at 7:30 every night, I put my phone in like a literal box. It goes in a box, shut it. I'm not allowed to look at it until the next morning. Um, at 5 o'clock every day, my email is done. I won't open my computer again. I treat this very much like a job, which is very hard to do because our phone is always right next to us
Hmm.
and it's so easy to keep scrolling. Um, but like emails done at 5, sometimes 4, sometimes 3. And I don't open it again until like 8 a.m. the next morning. I don't look at my phone at nearly as much on the weekends. I don't post on the weekends. And I know this is like, again, all against the algorithm, but
Yeah,
I'm like, if people want to follow me, they will. If
yeah,
they don't, they'll unfollow
yeah,
or the algorithm will bury me deep down. And that's fine. But for me, if to maintain my sanity as I like go full head into the social media world, I need to do this for myself. And so far it's been like really good for that. And luckily I haven't had to like there are times where I'm like
mm.
I should comment and then you'll see me I'll go through every single comment and I'll comment on everything
It's like a
but then I'm like that's an hour of work and
yeah,
then
yeah,
like it's work it is
yeah,
and
yeah.
so I'm not getting paid for likes, I'm not getting paid for views, I am not on YouTube really, I have like
Yeah.
10 followers.
Yeah,
um
everybody stop, go follow Laura right now.
yeah, go
On
follow
on
me, I
YouTube.
think I have like 10 subscribers, it cracks me up. But what I really want to knock out of the park are the numbers for the brands that are hiring me to make videos for them. So like
Mhm,
my personal stuff is just for fun, but I want to do well by the brands who pay me money.
mhm.
So I'll look at those numbers a little bit more closely because I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I really want to do well for them. They paid me
right,
money to make them that video, you
right.
know? So yeah, that's
No,
kind
I
of how I've been
no,
balancing
I
it.
think that that's, like, super healthy too. I mean, because 'cause I'm on the I'm terrible. Like, I mean, and it's so easy to get caught up in it, and even and not even
Mhm.
from someone that has 100 followers, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of times
Yeah,
we
no matter
have
what.
this tendency to like check and see, and you get a like, or if somebody shares it, and then you like get the pings and all that stuff, and you have your notifications on. But it
Mhm.
can get to be really consuming, and it's just interesting to hear you, someone that's very new to it, but like very you're in there now. Like
Yeah,
you're an
quickly.
influencer very quickly.
Yeah.
And a
For
big
better
one,
or for worse.
and a big one too. And so to like hear you be so new, but then also so like level-headed about it, I think that's super healthy, and I'll try to take some tips from that. I probably won't do
Yeah, you
any of
gotta
it.
get a box. Get a box. I'm telling you, if you can physically put your phone into a box, I just feel really lucky that I'm entering this at 36 years old and not
Okay.
like 22, because I
Yeah, yeah.
think it would have been a different experience.
It'd be like
For
part of life in 22. Yeah.
Yes, and like I would be more caught up. I would be a little bit more insecure, so I would be like, I need to hit these numbers. I feel none of that, and I feel like this is like a joyful ride. and
Mhm.
if it, and I'm also very privileged for two big reasons. One, I have a career. I can go back to being a physical therapist
Yeah.
tomorrow, and that would be enough. And
Yeah.
I would have said this was really fun. I'm done, and like I'll go back to my other thing. I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. I'm still having a good time, but it's nice to know that's there.
Yeah.
And then also, I have a really supportive partner, and my husband has a great job, and he has health insurance. So, like, those things,
Health
like,
insurance
need,
is health insurance is pretty good. That's a good thing to
yeah,
have in the back
you
pocket.
need, he has a 401k. Like, these are not things
Oh,
that come with
snap.
being an influencer.
No.
So, like, those things need to be, like, I need to talk about them all the
Yeah.
time, because I think it's really, people look at like content creation with starry eyes, but like
Yeah.
it's a grind if
Yeah.
you're trying to make like a really big profit off of it and also be able to like support your family. So
Yeah.
I'm really privileged in where I sit, and then also the fact that I can just turn it off. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and I think that that's good. It sounds like you have good friends too that, you know, have you have a lot of friends that like are in the industry or been around and kind of know about like to give you some warnings of like how to not go about this the wrong way or get, in dealing with brands and stuff like that because you're so new like to
I'm so new. I wish I had more. I'll be your friend.
okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
pick your brain, because also like there's no transparency in pricing. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
talk to like people and you're like,
Like, oh yeah,
okay,
here's a
well I did a similar video to that person. Like I wonder how much they paid that person. I
yeah,
have
yeah,
no
yeah,
idea. I have
yeah,
no
yeah,
idea. So that's also that's been the most like dizzying part of this entire experience, is like figuring out how much you believe you're worth
yeah,
and selling a brand on that, even though I don't have 1 million followers, but I also know what my point of view brings and the value I
mhm,
bring for that. And
yeah.
it's just
That's
been
tough.
interesting, and it's only been a few months, but I've already like learned so much. And I do have a few friends who have helped me along the way, but I could always use more.
Yeah, yeah. I had
Yeah.
because I think we share a friend in Brogan Graham.
Mhm.
So when I was in Minneapolis for work, I hung out with him for a little bit, and then he brought you up, and he said how much you're crushing it and stuff like that. But like people that have kind of been around brands that can give you any type of like even if it's not a dollar amount, because no one can say like here's what you're worth and here's what you should ask for, but it's like those guidelines of like if you believe that you're worth this much, ask for it. I mean, because that's the thing with in dealing with brands is we get caught up on like maybe like our frame of reference for money, like oh that's
Mhm.
a lot of money, but you got to think like some of these companies are billion-dollar companies and they have whole marketing budgets that would probably blow our minds just to know what they're spending on these things. So it is a very tricky and weird like journey to go on when you're like you don't want to ask for like I'll take 10,000 for the like and
Right.
then when they're like yeah we were gonna offer you like $500 but then at the same time, like, you don't wanna be you don't want people to take advantage of the fact that you're new.
I don't want to be the cheap one or
Yeah,
like
yeah, no.
the affordable one. Like,
Yeah,
oh, go ask Laura. She's affordable. Like,
yeah.
um,
Yeah, the value world.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to, because I'm a physical therapist, I come from the world of billing. So
Yeah.
you bill insurance companies by how much time you spend with them.
Mhm.
And it's like 7 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. So, like, my train of thought when I went into this whole world was like, well, how many hours will it take me to make this video? All
Mhm.
right, 3 hours. I'll charge, $150. And it's like, no, like, what about like, your
Yeah,
camera, that your $4,000 camera that you use, your point of view of being like a Division One athlete, but also a postpartum injured mom runner, like
mhm.
your humor, the way that you brainstorm, and like the way that I have progressed in just the last few months has been really interesting, and like advancing from that hourly rate
Yeah,
to actually like, no, it's not just time. It's not just
yeah,
60-second reel. It's everything that brought you all the way through your life to get you to this
yeah.
point. Um, and it's just been really valuable. And I mean, negotiating is like a terrifying thing for me, but I'm slowly getting better at it. I've gotten good advice of like, negotiate with a brand you're not going to end up working with, just
Mhm.
to get better at negotiating. So
Oh,
like I've kind of like used brands just to like get better at negotiating, even knowing that in the end they weren't going to want me and vice
okay.
versa.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you just
I
have to
like that.
like walk into a room, for a virtual room, and
Mhm.
feel more empowered. But yeah, I mean, my sister works for a creative agency and she gets hired by similar brands, not in the fitness world, but
Mhm.
similar budgets to make these huge campaigns
Mhm.
and commercials. And, but mostly the new commercial is social media content. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I need to start looking at myself as essentially
Is
a
that
creative agency. Like,
yeah.
I'm writing the scripts, I'm brainstorming, I'm acting in it, if you
Mhm.
could call it acting. I have props.
Yeah, you do. You have plenty of props.
Props, and I have like, the video gear, the mics, everything, and then I do all the editing. So it's like you gotta
Yeah,
like
yeah.
factor in like, what would they pay an agency?
Right. Oh, yeah, and that
I'm
is
still
normally
not asking for that. I'm asking
yeah,
for probably a tenth of it,
yeah.
but still, like, you can boldly go in with like a bigger number than you would ever imagine. And
And I just like just hearing you say like yeah, props and stuff like that. So like when you do when you do some of these skits, are you normally like alone or is there like if we flip the camera around is like your husband or your kids looking at you like
no,
remote?
no one's there. I won't let anyone be there.
Yeah.
It's all me and like a tripod, which
And
I
then
don't know what's worse. Like it's
so tell me like what's the funniest story of you filming in public?
Oh my gosh. I haven't had too many. A lot is filmed in my house, but I do those trail videos. I'm
Mhm.
always like I'm always like set up with a huge tripod and my camera, and then someone goes by walking their dog, and I get so self-conscious that I pretend like I'm bird watching.
That is so funny. 'Cause, like, I was watching that, like, I was watching the Brooks one, the Brooks, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was watching that one, and I'm like, I just kept, I was not I liked the video,
Yeah.
but I was, like, embarrassed, like, I'm like, "I
From
couldn't
a
do this."
creator standpoint,
Right,
right?
like
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause you know how awkward it is to do that, like yeah, like,
Mhm.
I couldn't even imagine, like,
I
so
know.
you're just like, "Oh, look at this." What do you
Or I just like look down at my phone. There's two things. One, it's like people just do this shit now. Like if
Yeah,
you walk down
it's
like a
super
city
normal,
street,
actually, yeah.
it is more normal. Like people are taking selfies constantly. I just have never done that myself. So I don't have any comfort in it.
Yeah.
And so like if you just kind of act normal, people will be like, ah, they're just doing something weird with their
But
camera.
and like you said, like the self-conscious part, like I can't even get past like so just I brought up Rogan earlier. He on his story earlier from yesterday or something like that. He was in Minneapolis airport and he had like a setup, and he's like standing in front of the camera with like a tennis racket as
That
like
sounds
people
like
are
him.
walking past him behind him. And I was like, I could never do something like that. Like, and he didn't even didn't seem like he cared at all. But
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
always
don't have
been
that.
like his sense of humor. I'm the same. I'm the same. Like I struggle even with like vlogging. I
Oh, like
think that
walking around talking?
yes,
Yeah,
like
I
I
can't do
think
that
I
either.
could make like a pretty good. I did one for the Falmouth Road Race, and I was with a friend who made fun of me the entire
That
time.
doesn't
And
help.
I think I had like 3 video clips from the actual race because Beth was like, "Oh, what are you gonna get? Do you want to get a shot over here next to the ocean?" I'm like, "Shut up."
Oh my god.
But yeah,
I think I met Beth. Did I meet I met Beth at the, ASICS thing,
yes,
right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So she's a sort
She had on the November Project shirt.
yeah, she
Yeah, okay.
leads in Rhode Island, in
Okay,
Newport, Rhode
dope,
Island.
dope, dope.
So yeah, she's like, and that's my sense of humor. I think that's why my friends think it's extra funny that I'm doing this because I'm the first to make fun of anybody else who does
Yeah,
stuff like this.
yeah,
So I have it coming. I have it
yeah.
coming for sure.
Yeah, yeah, cause like, yeah, even, it's funny you bring up the vlogging part, cause like, I've always wanted to do like a vlog, but that's why,
Yeah.
like, a lot of my recap videos of events, I'm not, like, talking in any of them.
No,
Like,
it's
it's
just
just
like outward facing,
yeah,
right?
or maybe possibly me, but, like, I don't have, I
You're
can't just
like
sit and talk.
in the safety of your hotel room.
Yeah, 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 so guys, I'm about to go outside. Today, what we're gonna do, and I just like it's the weirdest thing, like, and I should be okay with it by now, I guess, and then, like, there's so many people, like you said, that are doing it, and it's just so normal, kinda normal, but I just can't get over it.
It's so funny. I mean, we'll go to that shakeout run in New York City and there'll be like, I don't know,
Oh,
20
every
GoPros.
20 GoPros,
Everyone's like on the stick. Like that's
separate
just not
conversation. Yeah.
I just won't.
I know,
I don't
I
know.
think for that one, I won't be able to be at that one because 'cause I'll be at another shakeout,
Yeah, you have the
but
Tracksmith one?
yep, yep,
Yeah.
but so I need you to get a bunch of content of other people doing it, doing the
Yes.
content. So,
Yes.
Kafuzi?
Of course. Yeah.
Right. So every time, like, he ends up in my videos, and I always, like, will do, like, a caption and say, like, "Caught Kafuzi Kafuziing."
Yes.
Like,
That's
cause
a
like,
great
it's so
term
cool
for
seeing
him.
him, like, running with a GoPro or talking with a GoPro, and he's like he doesn't even if no one's around him. I mean, it looks like in his videos that no one's around, but then you're watching it happen. There's, like, 50 people just standing around, and he's just having a full conversation with YouTube, and it's the coolest thing in the world. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Me neither. I mean, maybe one day we'll get there, but I also think there's a lot of that content
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
and we offer something different,
Right. Right.
you
And yeah,
know?
we didn't you know what? I'm just gonna delete this whole part of this interview because and then we're gonna come back to and I'm gonna say, what's your advice for people looking to how to do it? Should they do what other people are doing or should they just do what they do?
Absolutely not. They
Just
need
do
to
what
do
you do.
something new. Do what you do. You do
Yeah, do
you.
what you do.
And I think that's why my stuff has gone done well. And it's
Mhm,
just because like there's pretty much a formula out there. Like if you want to be uh millennial woman runner,
mhm.
there's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a formula. Like you put up a daily photo or
yeah,
video, you're putting up your paces, you're putting up advice, running advice, body acceptance. I mean, none of it is bad. It's
mhm,
just not me.
yeah,
It's never been my shtick. So like I do like that some of my stuff is like, I mean, there's definitely comedians who do similar material as I do. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is innovative, but for the run world, there's just not a lot of it. So, and I
yeah.
think that just helps because we're all seeing all the same stuff over and over and over again. So,
Yeah, and then the cool thing about, like, I mean, obviously, there's people that are, like, actively trying to grow, their following, like,
mhm.
and that's not bad at all either.
No, no.
But then sometimes that makes you kind of do things that maybe you don't want to do, and you kind of have to force yourself to get used to it. But I think that, like, for me, I mean, I'm obviously trying to grow my following as well, but I try my best to try to figure out like what do I want to do that like I can post and be proud of and feel like I don't feel embarrassed by it or like have what I mean? Like so I try my
Yeah.
best to do my thing and then hopefully people like it, but it's like I'm really posting like videos for like for me, like
Yes.
I like this video. I took time to do them in, even if it doesn't land well, it is what it is.
Totally.
It is what it is.
Totally. I feel the same way. I'm like, I need to think that this is funny.
Yeah, yeah,
And even when I'm making them for brands, I'm like, if I send them something and I'm like, no, I have to reshoot the whole thing. I have to
yeah,
because I don't think this is funny.
yeah, yeah. Even like I don't care if you think it's funny or not. Like I'm,
They're like,
don't.
this is great. I'm like, no, no, it's not good enough.
Yeah,
And if I'm putting my name on it, I
yeah.
need it to like be better. So yeah.
And how do you? And so like that's the question too. Like I guess this is from me to a question from me to you, more personal.
Yeah.
About how to do, how like, working with brands. How do you? Do you find it difficult to stay authentic in those moments to like you? I mean, because you're working with multiple different brands that all have different voices in a way.
Totally.
How do you go about like balancing that expectation of that brand and your brand?
Totally. So again, super new to this, but I've been very lucky
In the
so far.
last few months, I've
Last
figured
3
out
months.
that.
I just feel really lucky because of the brands that I have worked with so far. So
Yeah.
like one of them is Brooks, and they have just been like, I pitch them my ideas.
Mhm.
They choose a few, and then I write out the script. They say if anything looks not so great for them.
Yep, yep.
But in terms of creativity, like they've given me 100%
Yeah,
reign to
that's
just
cool.
go and do your thing. I was like, do you want me to have like, when you edit a logo at the end, I'm like, do you want Brooks at the end? Do you want Run Happy? Do you want, and they're like, no, like this is you, this is your video.
Mhm,
And we're just happy to have like you in Brooks gear and then on their channel.
mhm.
And I was like, that's really cool. I just did one for, the She Is Beautiful Run series, and they just posted it this morning out in California, and like I was able to like take control of that one too. They wanted a certain vision, and I just did everything I could to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want them, of course, to be the most happy because they paid
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
money to do it.
Yeah.
But I need to feel good about it. I need to feel like, no, this needs to be at least a little bit funny. And even if it's not laugh out funny, I know a lot of my stuff isn't laugh out loud funny, but I want it to be entertaining. So
Mhm.
like something that people aren't just going to scroll past. So I think it's been a lot of luck. I think that any creative though will tell you that's going to be an ongoing struggle
Yeah.
because you need to get paid, but
Yeah, yeah.
you're basically just trying to push the boundaries as far as you can in terms of putting as much of you into it.
Right.
But then also they need
Yeah.
their vision to come to fruition.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's cool. I think, well, two things, I guess. But first thing is like I kind of noticed Brooks like in their page or their account for the last month or so, or a little bit more,
Mhm.
where they are like leaning more towards have it working with content creators directly and allowing them to be more people to be more of the spotlight than say like an ad that
Mhm.
looks like like the perfect runner or the perfect situation or even the perfect non-perfect runner, like because I think that a lot of times where brands are trying to capture these moments like in a paid ad type of situation.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but then when you can actually give that platform to another person that's actually out here touching people and understanding what's going on, I think that's like they're doing a really great job at balancing like that art.
I think it's also like when you watch yourself, like when you're like watching people's reels or whatever, and then you get all the way to the end and you realize it was either for a brand or an ad, and you're like, oh, you got me. Like I thought that
Dang
this
it.
was like organic content.
Dang it.
I think that that's really smart
Yeah.
of these brands to do because you're getting like, I don't want to watch this manufactured beautiful
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just don't
Yeah.
like I can appreciate it, especially from like someone who's behind the camera a lot. Like,
Mhm.
wow, that's a gorgeous shot of someone running through the Alps. Like
Mhm.
beautiful. But like nobody needs any more of that,
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I think that's just a smart way. I think that
Mhm.
that's where it's
I
already
think
been for a while, and hopefully it keeps going that way because it's just more entertaining.
Yeah, and I think more brands could really I think a lot of brands have like used stuff like this, but maybe more in like a story sense or like in an actual ad that doesn't live on their like page or channel or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think that more brands could look at like what what Brooks is doing, and Hoka too, but what Brooks is doing to like just bring more people and more like, I mean, everybody's a person, like even the people that are getting paid, the models are people as
Yeah,
well. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're like people that like, that I follow and that I like follow for a reason, and I think they're funny or cool or whatever, or they inspire me. It's cool to have those people like front and center. And it's all ad, and it's all you're using people's platforms and voices,
Mhm.
but hey, we don't mind.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing it for, right? But
right.
back to like the running thing. So talk to me about like, because you're gonna be doing, I was gonna say your last marathon, but let's talk about your first marathon and your next one. So what was your first marathon? Tell me about that experience. And and I know a little bit about it, and I also want to share my experience about a rock and roll as well.
Oh my God, this was like the funniest day in like McCluskey history. So my my four of the five of us ran the Nashville Rock and Roll Marathon. I forget what year it was. Probably like 2011 or
Mhm,
2010, something like that. And so my brother is like an Ironman triathlete at this
mhm.
point. My older sister likes to run marathons. My younger sister doesn't. So the four of us head out for this marathon, and my dad is there. He drove from New York to Nashville to like help support us.
Mhm.
And we get out there, and a hurricane comes through, or a tornado. I'm pretty sure it's a hurricane, right? Nashville. I guess either could come through Nashville, but they move up the race an hour. Fine, cool, super humid. We get out there. None of us.
What month was
This
it?
is the
What month was it
first
again?
marathon for all of us.
Was it like summer?
I think it was spring.
Spring, okay.
Yeah. I think it was like a May-ish.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So we get out there and we're all running different races. None of us ran together. My brother is out in the front. My sister's a little bit ahead of me. And the race is like fine. It's one of those races where it goes through miles of like deserted highway. So like no one's on it. And then like to cheer. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's like a band. And you're like, oh, this
Hey,
is
hey, man.
fun.
I needed you a while back, but hey.
Yeah, totally. Classic first marathon, completely underfueled, like had no
Yeah.
idea. I didn't have any gels or anything on me. I was just kind of like waiting for the next Gatorade station. So the end of the race comes around, and I finish,
Mhm.
and I think I ran a 3:39 or 3 something like that. And I'm stoked because at the time it was a BQ. So it must have been a little bit faster, whatever. I cross the finish line, I find my sister, and we're like, "Where's Chris?" Turned out Chris, my
Oh
older
my
brother, had
god.
like stopped with like my dad was with like at the finish with 200 meters to go, and he thought he like crossed the finish line, so he like sat down on the sidewalk.
Wait,
He
he
was
didn't.
so delirious. He was like
Oh my
super
god.
dehydrated. So my dad gets him up and like literally walks him across the finish line. He misses his BQ by like 10 seconds or
Oh my
something.
god.
He's in the med tent getting an IV. Then they shut down the race because the hurricane is coming in because my little sister's still out there. They shuttle her off the course at mile 24. So she didn't even get to finish. So me and my older sister and my younger sister find our way back to the hotel. We don't have hotel keys because we thought we would be with my dad and my brother. The concierge will not let us into the room. And it's torrentially downpouring outside. We're just like standing there with our little medals. Like, can you
Oh
please
my
let us
god.
into the room? He's like, your name's not on the account. So then we went to the hot tub. It fully clothed and like just like went into the hot tub while we waited. This is like okay, so my dad is like a very simple man, doesn't have a cell phone.
Mhm.
So this is like a classic McCluskey story because we can never get in touch with our dad. So my brother's still at the med tent. We make our way out of the hot tub, and it's been like an hour. And we're like, when are they coming back? So we go down to the lobby. We're like sopping wet, like in like
Oh my
like
god.
towels. And all of a sudden, the doors like open up. It's torrential outside. The wind is blowing, and my dad like like the abominable snowman, like kind of like comes out of the rain.
Oh my God.
He was looking all over the course for my younger sister. He didn't realize that she had come back to the hotel.
Oh no.
My brother comes through. He looks pale as a ghost. He looks like death. And oh my God, it was the funniest thing. We ended up going to get fried chicken at one of like the best fried chicken places I've ever had in my life. And
After the hurricane went through.
and and I just like haven't never stopped laughing about that entire experience because it was such a disaster.
Oh my God. That
So
is
that was my very first marathon.
That's hilarious. And hopefully, and what I need for you, I will also be in New York. What I need you to do is leave whoever in your family who brought that weather with them.
I know.
Leave them wherever they are. We don't
Leave 'em.
need that to happen at all in New York.
No.
So I did a rock and roll last November,
Mhm.
and we're in Michigan. So November in Michigan is cold.
Yeah.
So we're like planning for, we're like, me, a friend and I are like, we're gonna go down to Savannah, Georgia, because my mom lives down there. I'm like, it's gonna be 40s, 50s. It's a great way to just rip a half marathon. Perfect, right? So we get down there, and apparently it's a storm coming, but it's like, whatever. It's nothing crazy. It's like 40 something degrees, perfect for running and all that. And we're like, oh, it looks like that rain that is supposed to come is going to be a little closer towards the start. So, but it's going to be like in the afternoon, so we're like, okay, we're fine, but let's maybe grab some like some weather stuff, some raincoats to run in or whatever if we need to. By the time we wake up, it had upgraded to a tropical storm, and it's here, it's there. And it was so bad though that like it was the day before the cutoff for the remember, how last year's Boston was weird with the timing of it or whatever.
Mhm.
So like November was the cutoff time. It was the day before the cutoff for people to try to get their BQs. They canceled the marathon 1 hour before the race starts because they thought it would be because of safety, because the temperature had dropped to like 30 something with wind chill and like freezing rain and all this stuff. And then so the start line, we're sitting there, and my story's not funny at all.
It's so sad.
Yeah, we're standing there at the start for the half, and they keep saying, like, the people on the mic are like, oh, we're gonna get started in a couple minutes. We stood there for 40 minutes, people in the rain, like, rock and roll races are huge,
Yeah.
people just standing there lined up, just waiting to go in the rain for 40 minutes, 30 something degrees. It was the worst experience of my life, and I wanted to make sure that whoever was just laughing a minute ago about your experience now feels bad for me. I want the attention again.
Rock and roll. They've had some tough weather.
And like
manage.
Nashville should be fine. Nashville should be fine in May, and so should Savannah, Georgia in November.
Oh my God.
Nashville, I mean, rock and roll just got to do better, with your picks for time and places. So as you get ready for New York, the body's feeling great. What are you most looking forward to about the weekend?
Oh my gosh. So there's a lot going on. I'm actually a little anxious about just like how I feel like I'll kind of have to be
The
for the
reception
3
of you
years.
now that you're famous.
Well, not that I'm famous, but I'm also just an extrovert. So like it's impossible for me to walk outside even before anyone knew who I was at all.
Mhm.
And also like through November Project, I know a lot of people just from like all over the globe. Because I've met so many people over the years. And so like I go to New York, and I'm also one of those people who's like, I got to see everyone I know who lives here.
Yeah.
So like it will be seeing like my friends, my brother is coming. But like I'm mostly excited about just like finally meeting people in person that you have these like online relationships with, conversations with, and just having that in New York experience. I've never run New York. It's kind of the only one left on my bucket list. Like I don't have a huge long marathon bucket list. So I'm excited to run New York and have the experience that so many people talk about. And yeah, I mean, I'm also on a panel for Gooder with Alicia Montano, who like I cannot even explain to you. She's my 800 gal. Like she's like a running icon to me. And to be sitting next to her is such an insane thing to me.
That panel is gonna be ridiculous.
It
It's
should
gonna
be
be the
really
funny
fun.
it's gonna be the funniest panel that has ever paneled. I mean, 'cause Allie's funny, like, and it's just gonna be ridiculous. And what day is it?
It's on Friday
What
night.
I
I think it's at
think
like
I don't know if I don't know if I RSVP'd in enough time, but I'll try to, like,
yeah, sneak
see if I
in.
can sneak in the, like, back door or something like that.
Yeah, it should be really fun. I don't know how it's gonna come across as a podcast because I feel like it's gonna be a lot of like full body laughter. But I think like that's such a pinch me moment.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I just really hope we have good weather for the race so that we
me
can
too.
have like a party with it as
Yeah.
opposed to just like slogging through it.
Yeah, please, please. Yeah, and hopefully your brother will bring in some good weather this time.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell him to pack the weather, the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so before I let you go though too, I meant to ask this earlier, but what is your favorite this people probably ask you this all the time. What's your favorite skit so far?
Oh. Oh,
Like one that you were just like, this is it, and
so
you posted it.
so this is like not the most popular one by any means, but I laughed out loud during the gel one a bunch. Like I
Okay.
have a bunch of so I'm trying to make like a behind the scenes like what is it called? Where basically everything gets cut. So I'm like
Oh,
making a
like
reel with
a,
like a blooper
outtake
reel.
like outtakes here, yeah,
Yeah,
blooper reel,
yeah. So there were a lot during that because I'm alone. So like I think it would be a million times more fun if I had someone to do these with.
yeah. Mhm.
But right now I just don't. But like filming like the Gatorade character just like was cracking me up because I felt like it was just bringing me back to my childhood.
Yeah,
And yeah, I don't know, like people didn't love that. I thought that well they did, but they like the Morton character to me is like my favorite
hilarious,
ever, and I just want to
hilarious.
bring him with me like into other skits. So like that's the plan. Is like right now I feel like I'm kind of introducing people to all these different characters and
Mhm.
then they will go off on their own adventures.
Okay, alright. You see like a random,
Like
like,
I
Morton
can't
random Morton guy pop up in, like, a random video that has nothing to do with gels.
right. Like don't you picture like Morton and like Tracksmith
Yeah,
like
yeah, like, there's definitely
yeah.
people, brands, people,
That
and
like our
yeah, that
friends.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Or like you're like somebody invites, like, one brand, and then they just automatically, like, the other brand shows up. It's like, "Yo, you're not even supposed to be here." Like, "Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the plus one."
Like,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, yeah. I could totally see that.
Oh man, yeah. So talk about brands. I don't think any of those brands likes that skit. None of them messaged me at
No?
all because I like insinuated that they all cause stomach issues, which is not true, and people know that. But
I
gels
don't
are tough. You have to find the right one for you.
yeah, exactly. I thought that was funny, and I didn't think it was like I don't think there was anybody that you talked about that was like a bad or like a jab that like was hurtful for a brand. I
Yeah.
didn't think. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. So did you do 2 of those or was it just 1?
Just one,
Okay.
because like none of the brands commented, and I was
It's
like,
like, well,
I
so
think
you
I think Huma did. So I,
yeah, Huma would, right? This is
ah,
great.
it's great.
It's great. I like this. But thank you so much, Laura, for being on the pod, and being on the show. And I want to say though, too, like I feel like just watching you in this last couple months or few months, it's been really cool, like seeing someone just jump in and like have fun and make fun of the things that we take so seriously sometimes or too seriously. So I think it's really fun. And I love what you're doing and keep pushing, keep doing it because you're inspiring others just to be themselves. And that's like, I think that's what running when I got into it was kind of missing was like people of from all backgrounds just being themselves and not necessarily like you said like jumping in and doing like that cookie cutter like here's the mold of like what you need to be successful or to be like looked at or work with a brand even so I appreciate that push.
Oh man, thank you for saying that. And I'm a big fan, and I just love watching you kind of like take off with your following. And
Oh, thank you so
I,
much.
it's refreshing. It's refreshing when you find these people on the internet that I'm like, oh, that's just who they are.
Yeah.
And like when I meet them, that's just who they are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
And
know?
then I think and then when I met you too, by the way, so when I met you, like I was mildly dying still at that point.
I mean, I was like, this is so for reference, this was after the Falmouth Road Race.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was incredibly out of shape and I like suffered my way through that
Yeah.
run. And then I just like pulled Tommy aside. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I want to
Hey,
meet
by the
you.
way.
And
Yeah.
like nobody knew who I was, which was like only Kafuzi, which was like
Yeah,
so nice. He like
Kafuzi was like,
grabbed
"Hey."
me.
Yeah, Kafuzi was
Yeah,
like, "Hey, I want you to meet this. I want you to meet this lady named Laura Green. She does really funny skits." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I've." And then like, I guess I just never placed you
totally.
as a real
Yeah.
person.
And
You
also
know?
like I don't expect anyone to ever know who I am
Oh, they're
ever.
gonna. Yeah, it's too late now.
Well, some people are like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know who you were." Of course you didn't know who I was. Like I was just like
Well,
an idiot on the internet, and I still
I mean, but
am.
it's only like 3 months in. Like it's 3 months. Like I mean, look at your follower count and then realize that New York is going to be different than what you think it's gonna be.
I know, we'll see.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Is that? Can I take a picture?"
Oh, I
Can I take
have
a picture?
stickers. I
You have
haven't like
stickers.
so I made stickers and they say no one cares.
Can I have a
So
sticker?
yeah, well, I'll save a sticker for you. I think I have 100, so we'll
Oh,
see.
no, please, like, no, I literally need a sticker.
Okay, I'll get you
Like,
a sticker.
even if you have to leave it at home and mail it to me,
Okay, got it.
so you don't make a mistake and go like, "Oh, man, I forgot your sticker, I gave it away."
Now I'm gonna write it. Tommy runs on it.
Mhm, mhm, there you go, with a Z, make sure you put the Z
Yes.
part. Yeah,
So that's my official merch is a sticker.
I love that, no one cares. Then we'll have shirts, hats, shoes, maybe one day.
Perfect.
Like, Tracksmith has a shoe now, Laura Green can have a shoe that says, "No one cares" on the side.
No one cares. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm definitely not in Tracksmith's style book, but maybe
Well,
one day.
you never know, you never know. But thank you so much. Keep doing your thing, and whoever's watching this, please make sure that you run, eat, sleep, and repeat.